Hi, here we are again. I am filming my quarter 3 wrap up in the middle of November. And in California, even though it is fully fall, we are in the midst of fall season. It is still somehow 76 to 78 degrees on a daily basis. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I don't know what I need to do to get any fall weather here. Apparently there's a rainstorm coming soon, so that's great, but it's not getting any colder. So I don't know what that's about, but anyway, yes, this quarter 3 wrap up is coming late. At this point, I feel like that is my usual go-to video schedule. It's just me posting late. Now that we are in the midst of holiday season, unfortunately for me, it is super busy at work. Arguably more busier than summer, even though I said quarter 2 was the busiest time of year. It's actually the holidays. I'm in the middle of it right now, so that's really fun. But anyway, we are here with quarter 3 and I'm excited to talk about all the books that I loved, books that I didn't love, books that were surprising, and just some updates on my reading from the months of July to September. I still read a good amount of books. I hit my goal already of reading 175 books for the year. I'm sure I'm gonna go over 200 at the pace that I'm going. So let's get on with the wrap up. As usual, I'm going to start off with some stats. My stats I get from Storygraph, which honestly, Storygraph, she's really that girl. Storygraph is really that girl. For the months of July to September, I read 57 books. I believe that's only 2 less than last quarter. 30% of the books that I read were less than 300 pages. 68% were between 300 and 499, and only 2% were 500 pages and above. For my top 5 genres, we have romance, historical, fantasy, literary, and mystery. So a good handful of a range of genres for quarter 3. For format, which, as I've said in every video, this is my favorite stat, I listened to 21% of my books through audio, I read 37% through digital, and I read 42% through print. I have been doing a mix of listening to audiobooks while also reading the books, so a lot of immersive reading. My average rating for quarter 3 is 3.84, so a bit of a decrease from quarter 2, which I believe was 3.9, and I kind of rounded that up to 4 stars. And I think the reason why this quarter was a bit tough for me was I have a tendency to request a ton of arcs. I need to stop that. Next year, I really need to cut back on the amount of arcs that I request because I'm so behind on my arcs. The person that requests it is not the same person who reads the arc. I may feel a way about it when I'm requesting it, but when I'm actually reading it, in my head, I'm thinking, why did I request this? Did I really think this was interesting? So there were some arcs that just didn't live up to my expectations, and I think that is what brought my rating down a bit. Also, because some of the worst books that I read, I will get into later, and I think there was a theme behind it and a reason why, and we'll get to that. Anyway, those are the stats for quarter 3. Now we will get into the best books that I have. The first 5-star book I had for the quarter was Rejection by Tony Tulatemudi. This is a series of short stories, but they are all connected in some way, shape, or form. And each individual character goes through their own journey of facing and accepting rejection in certain different ways. For example, we have rejection of love, we have rejection at jobs, we have different types of rejection that these people go through. There is a vast cast of characters. You get very different, almost polarizing personalities. The way that they handle rejection is different in each story. A majority of these characters are very unlikable. However, I still think that each character has certain characteristics or personality traits and aspects to them that everyone will find some sort of relatability towards, especially in the way that certain people react to rejection. And sometimes the way that these characters face rejection is outright, and other times it's very under the surface. It is simmering, it is quiet, but it's there. Sometimes it could be cringy, sometimes it was overdramatic. And there were lots of times where certain scenarios with these characters felt uncomfortable, but that is all part of, in life, getting rejected. It plays a lot with reality as well. And so there is definitely a unique voice in this author's writing that I found to be really compelling and really impactful. As I said, it is at certain times unsettling and uncomfortable the way that these characters react to what's going on around them. The tangents that they go on are nothing short of entertaining. There is something to be learned and something to be explored through each of their stories, and for such a short book you will get a lot out of it. I highly recommend this. That is Rejection. The next 5-star read for me was Detective Auntie by Uzma Jalaluddin, and this is a cozy mystery, but to me, after reading it and settling down with the book and processing it, it is so much more than just a cozy mystery, even though at face value that's what it is. In this book, you follow Kosar Khan, who is an elderly woman. Her husband passed away over a year ago, and so she is coming to terms with life as a widow. She's returning to the suburb where she spent most of their lives in, raising their children in. But the reason why she moved back to her hometown is because that is where her daughter Sana lives. And Sana is accused of murder when she finds a dead body in her clothing store that she owns. So Kosar takes it upon herself to solve the mystery of who actually killed this man in order to free her daughter from the accusations. Her granddaughter, who's a teenager, I believe she's in high school, she's either a freshman or sophomore in high school, and she's also bonding with her granddaughter and getting to know her more, and learning the dynamics of her daughter's household, coming to terms with just how different her daughter is raising her granddaughter from how she raised her own daughter. Kosar and her late husband were in an arranged marriage before they immigrated here to the States. Because of that, she lost a lot of her best years settling down with her husband and having children and fulfilling the role as the obedient housewife. She is on her own for the first time in decades. She is figuring out her voice, figuring out her life for her own self. She's able to now make decisions without having the pressures of her husband or society around her kind of sway her in certain directions. She's able to think for herself now and really go through a deep self-exploration of what she truly wants out of her life. That really, to the heart of it, was what this book was about. Aside from the mystery, of course, and her trying to solve this murder, I think her stepping forward and being the one to investigate who has murdered this man is sort of a way for her to step into her own and do something that no one else would have expected her to do. I really love that about this book, that it explored more than just the mystery. I think she was such a fun, charismatic person to read about. She has persevered through a lot, so it was really inspiring to read about her. And the fact that this is a cozy mystery and there was a lot of heart and thought behind it, I've never read a cozy mystery that made me feel the way that this book made me feel, but I really enjoyed it, so I highly recommend if you were looking for a cozy mystery to read this fall. Yeah, so that's Detective Auntie. The next fantastic book that I read was Lion by Sonia Walger. This is an autobiographical novel by Sonia, told in vignettes of her life from childhood to adulthood and the tumultuous relationship she has with her father. As we follow her, starting from a very young age until the present day, as her father is an inconsistent present in her life and her longing for his permanent love. Despite what he puts her through, when she's a young child, she doesn't really truly understand what's going on and why her father is constantly in and out of her life. You slowly see through all these little moments that she recalls as like a teenager and in her early adulthood, the moments where she realizes, oh, my dad is a very flawed human being. Later in her adulthood, she comes to the acceptance that, you know, her father was never really fully willing to make the sacrifices that it took to be a full-time parent to her. He was always chasing something better, something bigger, wanting the next high, and that never was life with her. He wasn't capable of becoming a present parent, the kind of parent that she wanted. And again, despite the fact that he never was truly there for long periods of times in her life, she still longed for his love and for his acceptance and for him to be proud of her. And when she was a young age, she always thought that her dad was a adventurous person and that he was so cool and he was traveling to all these places and meeting all these new people, and you know, she was always surrounded by fun characters. But as she grew older, she just realized how her dad jumped from place to place to place, never really truly committing to anything or anyone, any job. And despite her mom holding it down for her, she still wanted her dad's love, and she still wanted to be a part of his life and wanted him to be a part of her life in any way that she could. It was written beautifully. There were so many quotes that I thought were just really captured the emotions and the longing for a relationship with a parent that you know you're never going to get. After all these years without him, I do not know how to live with him. I know how to miss him. I do not know how to tolerate him. I want him another continent away where I can manage the neglect. Very raw, very real, and it definitely represents the way that parent-child relationships are imperfect and very, like I said, tumultuous, but there is still so much love between them. I just really enjoyed this. I loved the writing. I love the prose. I love how vulnerable the author was in this, and I definitely will read anything else this author writes. This was truly incredible. I also don't hear anyone talk about this. Like, this is such a good book. I just really enjoyed it. So that's Lion. Okay, the next amazing book that I read was It Had to Be Him by Adib Khorram. This is a romance. This was such a fun book to read during the summer months. You have Ramin, who recently broke up with his boyfriend after trying to propose to him. His boyfriend said no. But after the breakup, he spirals, as one does, and drunkenly books a solo trip to Italy for himself for the summer. And honestly, iconic. There's no other place to grieve and mourn a relationship than in Italy. You can eat as much as you want. You can drink as much as you want. There's hot Italian men everywhere. There's beautiful scenery, gorgeous architecture. Like, there isn't a better place to grieve a relationship than Italy, honestly. So I don't blame him for drunkenly booking a trip to Italy, because same. I would absolutely do the same thing. And he really has his Lizzie McGuire living it up in Italy, falling in love type of summer, because while he's there in Italy, he runs into his high school crush. His high school crush, Noah, is divorced from his ex-wife, has a cute little son, and he's actually on a family vacation with them because his ex-wife's family is from Italy, so they are there visiting her relatives, and also they didn't want to do separate vacations for their kids, so they decided to go on a trip together. And little does Ramin know that Noah also sort of had a little bit of a crush on him as well in high school, and the two of them fall in love, and it's them falling in love in Italy. Like, could there be a more romantic book? I don't think so. I truly don't think so. And also Ramin's relationship with Noah's son, it was so cute. And you guys know I don't like kids in books, but this was cute. This was cute. Really love this. This was such a fun summer romance. And again, the setting of it being in Italy, chef's kiss. Loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. It had to be him. Next 5-star book is Moderation by Elaine Castillo. Elaine is one of my favorite authors of all time. She is a Filipino author based in the Bay Area, and this is one of the best books I've read all year. It was phenomenal, brilliant, absolutely incredible. The main character in this book, Girly, is a content moderator online, which honestly, after reading this book and seeing what goes on behind content moderators, if you're a content moderator, you do the Lord's work, because the things that you must see on a daily basis online, I can't even imagine. Like, the things that these people have to witness and sift through in order to moderate, I simply don't know what I would do. I genuinely don't know what I would do. It seems traumatizing to be a content moderator, honestly. Again, they do the Lord's work. That's crazy. It is a crazy job to do. But she's so good at her job that she gets tapped on the shoulder to become an elite moderator at a VR company. And the way that she's going to moderate this content is by putting on the virtual reality glasses and stepping into the game and whatever setting in the virtual reality sphere, and actually witnessing what these people are saying and doing, and erasing it and moderating it in real time. Now, this new VR is crazy because she has to put on this bodysuit and this whole mask, and it feels like her body is literally in that virtual reality space. So she can feel all the pains, and it feels like she's talking to people in front of her. It's just insane. And some of the things that people say and do in this space online, some people should not be allowed around technology at all. Truly, it's disturbing what some of the things that she had to go through in this are. Aside from that, Girly is the eldest daughter in a really big Filipino family, and just the expectations and the duty she has as the eldest daughter, I related to her on every level, and this truly was a love story to eldest daughters. There is a scene in here that made me bawl my eyes out. That was a scene between her and her younger cousin. my god, this was incredible. Just the journey that girly goes on through the content moderation, her own life, how it eventually blends together. She falls in love. Like it was so good. It felt visceral what she was going through, and I just love Elaine's writing, and I highly recommend this book. That is Moderation. Okay, the last book in the best books category that I'm going to talk about is a book that I've already spoken about and reviewed a little bit in a previous video that I had, which was my physical TBR update video, and that is The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door by H.G. Perry. This was a 5 out of 5 stars. If you are looking for a dark academia book for fall, this is the one, babes. This is the one, because not only is it dark academia, but there's fae magic and a fae world. Our main character, Clover, is a regular human being, no magical powers, but she is able to find a way to learn magic and get accepted into the magic university, where families who have bloodlines with magic have studied for generations. She's one of the only people who don't belong to a family with magic to attend this university, but she goes there in order to learn a cure for the fairy curse that her brother has been put under after surviving the war. I wish I could wipe my memory of reading this and read it again for the first time, because this was such a good book. I really enjoyed the writing. It was adventurous, it was dark, it was emotional. There were plot twists that I truly was not expecting. There was an ending to a character story that broke my heart. This was perfection. This is what I want in a standalone fantasy book. I highly recommend this if you're looking for a dark academia with magic type of book for fall. This is the perfect one to read. The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door. Okay, now that we've talked about the best, let's talk about the worst. First worst book that I read in Q3, Love's a Witch by Trisha O'Malley. There's a reason why I think my overall rating for the quarter has gone down, and that's because I think I read a lot of cozy, fall, witchy themed romances. I fell for all of the cutesy covers, and I should not have. I rated it a 1.5 stars, if that even. You have Sloane, who is a witch that there's a curse on the witches in Sloane's family that they can't stay in one place for more than a year. So they keep moving from place to place to place. And if they don't move and don't leave, it's just chaos around them. So her and her sisters go back to the hometown because it's their goal to figure out the curse and solve it so that they can actually plant roots somewhere and stay for longer than a year. And then you have Knox, who is the mayor of the town that they moved to, and he wants them gone. He wants nothing to do with them and their curse. Actually, the curse is hurting his town and the people in their town. Like it's putting them in danger. And so as much as the two of them have this enemies to lovers thing going on, he genuinely does want the best for their town, which means her gone. And I don't blame him. Like, girl, at one point, her magic literally summons a dragon, like a full-on dragon. Not everyone in that town knows that there's magic, so they just see this random flying dragon and they're like, what the fuck is that? And he has to come up with a PR story to clean up their mess and try to make it so people aren't freaking out about the fact that there's a literal dragon flying around. But the whole thing was truly unserious because they spend all this time trying to figure out a way to break the curse, but they don't actually. She is so focused and so infatuated with this man that anytime that they have an interaction, she's like, oh, I'm trying to break this curse. Like, I'm trying. They're not doing anything, babe. They're not doing anything. Mind you, there's a whole council of witches that is working against them because they're like, girl, we haven't been able to find a way to break this curse for you. So I don't think you're going to. You have just gotten your magic. How are you going to break this 100-year-old curse when us, a council of witches, haven't been able to find a way to break it? They try to break the curse with this one ritual that they have. Mind you, 70% into the book. It doesn't work. She gives up. I don't know. I was just so like, what? This is so unserious. What is the point of this? Is she actually going to try to break the curse, or like, what are we doing? At the end, which was super rushed, by the way, the way that they actually broke the curse was giving me in middle school with my friends at a sleepover, going into the bathroom and repeating Bloody Mary 30 times. And that's how the curse was broken. Okay. her. Okay, now the thing is, I loved everything else about this book. I loved the little town that they had. I loved the side characters. I loved the other magical creatures that are in this town. I loved her sisters. I loved her grandma. I loved the other council of witches. Like, I loved everyone except the main character and her boyfriend. This was book 1, and will I probably read book 2 when it comes out, because it's going to be about the other characters? Yes. And when you see me reading book 2, I don't want to hear anything about it, okay? But this book was a flop. This book was a flop. Love's a witch. It sure is. The Nanny is Off Limits by QB Tyler. Now, love QB Tyler. I don't know what this slop was, but this did not need to happen. This did not need to be written. This shouldn't have been a book. You have Rowan Kincaid, who obviously very successful, very wealthy. He has 3 kids. The mother to his children passed away, and I want to say they were divorced before that. He's overwhelmed trying to take care of 3 kids while also running a business. So he hires a nanny who's 20 years younger than him, and he's obviously attracted to. And she's attracted to him. We all know where this is going. The nanny is off limits. But is she really? Now, one thing about this book is there are certain people in this world who shouldn't be parents. And one of them is Rowan Kincaid. He should not have had a kid, let alone 3. Because at the beginning of this book, when the nanny, Ellie, first starts this job, the 3 kids are already trained and have protocols on what to do when their dad isn't around. For that to be established means that their father is truly never around. If they know how to function and already have a system in place of what to do and how to handle things when he's not there, the man is never home. The man is always working. There's this one time where he forgets to pick up the youngest child. The older sibling is like, yeah, just call our uncle. He'll go pick them up. We've been here before. He's already on the approved pickup list because he goes and picks the kids up all the time because their dad doesn't. Now, magically, that a really young, hot nanny is starting, all of a sudden, dad's around. All of a sudden, dad's there to pick them up. All of a sudden, dad's attempting to build a relationship with his kids. All of a sudden, dad's there for dinner. All of a sudden, dad's there for breakfast. All of a sudden, dad's there for all of these activities. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, dad happens to be present. And I wonder why. I wonder why. Could it be the nanny that's off limits? And it's so funny because his eldest daughter, Queen, by the way, she calls him out and says, the only reason why you're even paying attention to us now is because the nanny is spending so much time with us. And it's not really that you want to spend time with us, it's because you want to spend time with her. And you want to give her the impression that you're a good dad and that you are active in our lives when you're not. And I was like, eat him up. Eat him up. Eat him up. That is giving eldest daughter with a capital E and a capital D. Okay? But his reaction to her calling him out, he lies and says, no, it's not because of her. It's because I want to be here for you guys as a dad. And then for some reason, she gets grounded for talking back to him, I guess, or putting him in his place. Of course, she gets punished for that, as eldest daughters do. Instead of apologizing and then talking to her, he has the nanny, Ellie, who's gotten close to her, and then his brother, their uncle, speak to her. Not him. No, not the dad. Not the parent. He has other people for that. He has other people to parent his kids. Why would he? And the gag of it all is that Ellie was enabling him at every single turn. She has a very complicated relationship with her dad, and she's like, I know what a complicated relationship with a dad is, and you're such a great dad to them, and you're trying your best, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, girl, please. 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 Anyway, hated this book. 1.5 stars. Yeah. Flop. The Nanny's Off Limits. Now that we're done with the worst books, we are going to move on to the most surprising and shocking books that I read in Q3. The first being Slanting Towards the Sea by Lydia Hilge. This book is set in Croatia. We follow our main character, Ivana, who is still really close friends with her ex-husband that she's very much still in love with. And she also has a friendship with his new wife, Marina. They have a very interesting dynamic, the 3 of them, because she's still friends with them and very close with them. She now is nearing 40, and she's coming to terms with the fact that she is not anywhere near where she thought she would be by this age, especially given that she divorced the person that she thought she was going to spend the rest of her life with. I was absolutely hooked from the beginning, following these characters and their history together, their present day together. After Ivana meets this new man, it starts a chain of events that I could have never really predicted what was going to happen. It also does flashbacks into what happened when Ivana and Vlaho were married and sort of unravels why they got divorced. There is love and loss and grief in this. I was left feeling completely empty by the end. It was an open ending and I was just like, oh my God. Oh my God. There's so much longing and yearning in this book. It was so good. I absolutely loved the characters, their relationships. Such a unique story too, but one that was told with such care and also a lot of drama. I don't know, it was just very entertaining and very real. I loved this book so much. I love the writing. I really felt for these characters, and also I love the setting of Croatia. The author, this was like a love note to Croatia. I love the setting and the imagery that this author described Croatia with, told from a perspective of so much love for this country. I was just shocked by the events that took place and how emotional this made me. I was not expecting to feel this much for the characters. I definitely teared up at the end. I sure did. And I was not expecting that from this. I read it as an arc, went in with absolutely zero expectations, and this ended up being one of the best books I read this year. So I really, really enjoyed this. I highly recommend it. That is Slanting Towards the Sea. Okay, the next book I'm going to speak about very briefly because I only have a few things to say about it. I read Morning Glory Milking Farm. Okay, I ate this up within 48 hours. Yes, I did. And the only thing I will say about it is 24 ounces. Noted. Yeah, this was, a time was had. A time was had with this one. A time was certainly had. Okay, the next surprising book was White Nights by Dostoevsky. And the reason why this is a shock to me is because I thought I was going to love this book based off of how popular it has become and because Jack Edwards loved it. And I was just expecting to feel the same way about it, considering the fact that a lot of the other books that Jack has recommended, I have also really enjoyed. When I read this, I was shocked, first of all, at the events that happen in this book. I read this in my One Sit Wonder video. I go more deeper into my feelings about it in my One Sit Wonder video, which I will link down below so you can watch what I was feeling in the moment, because I did read this in one sitting. It's a very, very short book. I also did not realize it was that short, but it took me on a journey. A book that was under 100 pages took me on a journey. Yeah, so I was just really surprised that I didn't like this as much as I thought I was going to. I rated it 3 stars. I didn't hate it. It wasn't a bad book by all means. I just was expecting more from it and expecting to feel more about it, but I didn't. It was an okay book. I didn't hate it. Glad I read it. Never gonna read it again. Do I recommend it? I mean, if you want to read it just to read it, just to say that you've read it and know what it's about, sure, but would I recommend it and think that you would enjoy it? No. That is my own personal take on that. So that's White Nights by Dostoevsky. Okay, the last book that shocked me is another book from my One Sit Wonder video, and that is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. I was gagged. I was gagged. I was thrown in for a loop. I had no idea what to expect. I knew I was going to enjoy this, and I did. I really had a fun experience with this book, especially because I read it in one sitting, and I think if I had broken it up into pieces, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. I think because I read it in one go, I was able to fully grasp just the shock factor of it, of who the murderer ended up being. Like I said, I really enjoyed my reading experience with this, and I was gagged. I truly was. I was not expecting that at all. It was a very big plot twist for me. The woman was ahead of her time. She truly was. And we really lost a diva. We really lost a diva in the literary world. We did. So that was The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. And yes, I do recommend this if you've never read it, which I think I'm the only one on the planet that hasn't read this yet. But if you happen to be another soul that hasn't read this, you should read this. This was so good. So good. Couldn't put it down. All right. And unfortunately, I didn't finish any series in Q3. I really am slowing my roll with the series, even though I am slowly making my way through the Stormlight Archives. I'm on book 2, and the Veronica Speedwell series, I'm now on book 6. So I'm still making my way through series. I'm just not at a pace where I'm finishing them as quickly as I was going through them in the previous quarters. However, I still do want to try and at least finish the Veronica Speedwell series by the end of this year. There's a new book coming out next year and I want to read all of it so I'm caught up. And if I can try to squeeze in another series before the end of the year, I will, although I don't know if that's going to be possible because of how busy it's going to be during the holiday season for work. But I'm going to try. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. We'll see. That is my quarter 3 wrap up. That's the best, the worst, the in between. Yeah, I will see you guys in quarter 4. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.